In this video, I'm going to go over layer styles. Layer styles is something that once you know it, you will never stop using it because it's used in probably every Photoshop element or every Photoshop, I guess, project you've probably seen out in the market or somewhere today. Layer styles, there's a couple used actually in the project I'm showing you right now. On the blue bar itself, it has a couple layer styles already. So let me start by showing you what I've got, and then I'll show you a couple of the basics. If you click on the blue layer, we're going to come over here. If you see this FX logo right here, the FX logo stands for the FX on the layer. And if you look, you hit the drop down arrow and it brings up effects, bevel, and gradient. And those are two of the layer styles that have been added on to this layer. So I feel the best way to do this is I'm just going to start from scratch. I'm going to delete these 4 layers, 5 layers. Nice job, Dustin. And start fresh. What I'm going to do is take the marquee tool. I'm just going to draw a basic box, a rectangle right here. Let's fill it in. We're going to just use the paint bucket. We'll fill it in with black. And there we go. So we got our black box right here. And let's see how we can turn this from something just really generic, which I mean it still is rather generic, it's a box, and just spice it up a little bit. Okay, we're going to deselect it. The way to open the layer style menu is double click on the layer and your layer style menu will pop up. Here's the little box for it. And these are the different layer styles that you have to select. You can add a layer style and then double click into that layer style to change the features of it. So I've double clicked on drop shadow. I can increase the distance of the size of the drop shadow, increase the distance as you can see right here, change where the light comes from so that it shows up on a different side. Actually move the drop shadow if you click and drag on it. And then let's say you don't want the drop shadow at all, just turn it off. Let's actually make the layer have a outer glow. Click on it and let's change the outer glow. Let's make it white. Increase the size. Spread a little bit. You can make the opacity 100 so that it actually is visible. And then there's an outer glow. That's another feature that's used a lot in text and other different things like that. I'll actually apply that to text in just a minute. I'm going to show you these on a completely different layer. So let's do that. We'll bevel this layer. Really increase the size of the bevel. Ooh. Let's make it depth much larger. Tone the size down just a little bit. Contour it. And let's change up the light angle yet again. 87, 37. Look at that, turn it into a solid brick. That's bevel and emboss. Satine adds in a darker shadow to the layer. Color overlay allows you to actually change the color of it. You can overlay it, and then let's say switch it to gray. We get a gold bar. How about that? Let's do that. Solid gold. A little bit darker. That. Turn off Satine. There we go. Now we got our solid gold bar. And then you can do stuff like gradients on it. If you turn off color overlay, here's the gradient. Well, let's put that back on, make the gold, and then we'll add a stroke. I'll just show you what stroke looks like. Stroke's very basic, adds a line out to the outside. This is really good for text to help it pop out from the background. Alright, so let's just say, okay, there's our gold bar we just made. Really cool. We're just going to put it over his face. He's not important right now. Let's grab the type tool, and we're just going to type some text right here. It says gold! Exclamation point. Cool. Bring it over here, and the exact same thing that I did with the gold bar layer, we're actually going to double click on here, and we can bring up the layer styles on the gold bar layer, or on the gold text layer. So for this one, let's also bevel it. But let's go into the bevel features, and you can see we can switch it up. Instead of beveling up, we can bevel it down. change up the depth, and make it a emboss, contour it, and then top of that, let's add in stroke for the heck of it, just to make it fun. I told you strokes help stuff pop out. You can change the stroke color to red or orange or green. Let's just do green. We're not trying to make it look pretty. I'm just trying to show you all the features on it. There's gold. You can add in patterns, gradients, like I just said. Gradients you can do a lot with. Change it up. Radial, reflective. There's a lot here, but the best way to actually figure out what you like is to go in and just experiment with it. The biggest thing with Photoshop is learning just to experiment with everything that it has to offer. So let's make this gold also. Okay. Reflective, click OK. Yeah, let's reverse that. There we go. Sateen it, but we're not going to. Satin, that's the right word, not sateen. You can add texture to it. And there we go. Let's actually switch the fill so that it's like that. So, here we go. We've got this layer. We got one on top. Now I'm going to talk about actually messing with the layers in here. The effects, when you drop it down, you can turn effects on and off. If you see, I'll turn off the gradient and the stroke real quick, and all that's left now is the bevel on that text, and it's beveling down. Now, a cool feature that a lot of people overlook a lot of the times is the fill opacity. Now, when we talked about layer styles, opacity, just making the layer visible or not. So see how it's slightly visible and such. The fill opacity only affects the opacity of the layer itself. Any effects that you make, like the bevel, the gradient, and the stroke, don't get, or I guess you could say don't disappear when you bring this down. If you watch, the opacity of the bevel there is still on the gold bar. The gold itself, the filling of it, you could say, is disappeared. So we're going to leave that. Now the gold is popping out. The last thing I need to show you is copying layer styles to add a quick layer style to another layer. So let's take the red bar yet again that we got, put it down here. We're going to take the gold bar and we're going to control click on both. You can do that on PC and the Mac. Wow, this is a jumbled up, terrible tutorial. And copy the layer style, and then you click on here, control click again to the new layer, paste the layer style, or try to and fail. 3 times a charm. Yeah, maybe. And look, everything we just made with the last gold bar is now there. So that's layer styles. Sorry for the sloppy tutorial, but just you want to basically explore them, check out what you like, what you don't. You'll learn new things. The best way to actually learn with these things is just to get out there and practice with them. So go ahead, enjoy.